In this tutorial, we're going to learn how to make a photo collage based on a few images we've pre-selected. So what I did today is I picked some images that were having to do with skating and surfing and a few other things, and I wanted to find some things that sort of related, but I wanted to find ways to fit them together interestingly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to think through which image I want to start with, and I found pictures that were sort of similar in some ways, even though they cover a few different sports. I wanted to think through similar poses. I want to try to create connections between these things. So my collage is actually going to embed a bunch of pictures in the same page to try to make an arrangement. And my arrangement is basically going to be centered upon one piece. So I need to pick one image that's my large background, and then I'm going to have the other ones that are going to bring in more detail around it. So I'm going to start with probably this one. I can right click on this in my viewer and I can choose open with Adobe Photoshop. Or if I have Photoshop already open, I can go there and find it. But since I already know where this is, open with Photoshop, it's in my folder. And now that that's opening up, good thing to remember is always start with a large quality image. So this one says it's only 72 pixels per inch, but it's 1,000 pixels wide or better. So that's a good place to start. I'm going to go ahead and open up a couple of other pieces that I want to use in here, and I'm going to throw in this young man on his BMX getting some air, and I'm going to open that in Photoshop also. So I'm going to keep several images open at once, and I really thought this one was pretty cool, so I open with Photoshop, and I want to just keep a few things, and I might or I might not use all these. I'm going to give myself permission to make some mistakes and get it wrong, and that's going to give me some room to create something that's, I might use some of these pieces and I might not. So remember, if I push the tab key, I can work at larger size within my image. So I'm going to use that as I need to. And the main tools we're going to use for this are the selection tools and copy and paste. But we can also use some layer effects as needed using adjustment layers. So what I'll do next is I'm going to take my starting image, and I can't remember which end that was at. Let's see. Okay, here's my starting image. This will be the basis for the rest of my images. So I'm going to try to find one that's going to fit in there nicely. And I felt like this guy would fit in pretty good on that wall of water right there. So I'm going to go back to him. And what I'll do is I'm going to go ahead and select everything. So I'm going to use select and select all. Control A, select all. Now it's all selected. And I'm now going to choose edit, copy, go back to my original image, and edit, paste. Now clearly that's way bigger than I want to use in this image, and it's also got some stuff I need to bleed in a little bit. So what I can do is I can choose my lasso tool, and the feathering up here is going to soften the edges, so it'll be like a faded in image. So I'm going to choose about 35 or 45 pixels. Now again, I like this picture, but the bad choice about it is that there's that guy right behind him in the background who will be kind of hard to get rid of. Now, because I want to make some room to make mistakes, I'm going to make a copy of this by dragging it onto the new layer button. And I'm going to reverse my selection, inverse, and delete. So here's my guy. And again, you can see the kind of issue I have with that guy behind him. Now I've missed a piece that was off the screen, so I'm going to go ahead and select that, deselect, or Control D, and I want to move that around a little bit. So I want to put him someplace. It'd be great if I get that guy out of the picture, wouldn't it? So why don't I take him, and I'll just use the eraser. Now as you can see, that actually kind of put a big hole because the area right behind our guy is kind of faded. So we already know how to use the stamp tool. So I'm just going to replace that area with some of the other stuff. Some of that mist. Now it wasn't originally mist; it was just sky, but because I faded the edge of the picture, it came out. So when you combine images, oftentimes there will be things you have to correct or change or fade or work with to get it looking right. And as you can see, the edge of his arm where I did that is now sort of fuzzy. what else can I do here? I've got this back here, so I want to keep on working with this, and my goal is to make it fit in seamlessly to the picture. Now, it'd be really good if I actually just removed that background, because I don't want him on cement, I want him on water. The connection between water, surfing and skating is what I want to see. So I'm going to quick select tool, and I want to be careful not to get our guy. Look, I got the guy. So I'm just going to use my magic wand tool, and I'm going to hold down Alt, and then I'm going to use the lasso tool with Alt, and my goal is to get rid of all the marching ants inside the stuff where I don't want the selection active. So I've got that selected, and I hit delete. Getting happier. I like this. So it may be a good idea just to get rid of everything that's not my guy. So I'm going to use the quick selection tool, and I'm sort of thinking on my feet here. Let's deselect and start over again. So I want to get everything else deleted. So in order to get rid of everything else, I'm going to select him and then inverse my selection. It's a little quicker and easier. Now I got this area between his legs here, so I'm going to Alt. What can I do there? I'm going to get rid of that selection. Magic wand. Okay. So now I'm going to inverse and delete. And now my guy looks totally live in the water. I'm going to use the transform tool, free transform, and if I hold down Shift, and as you can see, I got more stuff. The marquee tool, I'm going to apply the selection. The marquee tool is going to let me select that area up there and clean up my selection a bit more until it looks the way I want it to look. Now clearly the lighting is sort of an issue because it doesn't really match, so we can work on that with some other tools later.